Per capita, New Zealand has more restored Formula 5000 cars than any other country in the world. Formula 5000 was New Zealand's premier motor racing class through the 70s, with names like Graham McRae, Graham Lawrence, David Oxton and Kenny Smith dominating. That history continues with the 2010 MSC Tasman Revival Series. The opening round of the MSC Tasman Revival Series is here at the MG Classic, and race number 1, Chris Hyde won from Sefton Gibb.
It was very, very close actually. We had Chris at the front and I managed to get Ian before the first corner, but he hounded me for the entire race. But that's what racing's all about, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Ian's a great competitor, so it was good dicing with him.
Was the wind affecting your racing much?
I think so. It was pretty windy going down the back straight, and I had a bit of a scary moment yesterday where the whole rear wing came off, and I think that was because also there was just so much headwind, and these cars rely a hell of a lot on aerodynamics, and so yeah, I believe the wind was buffing us around quite a lot.
It was quite tight for a while there, wasn't it? It was about 3 of you vying for second.
Basically, well, in fact, Sefton got the drop on me very early on, but I hounded him fairly religiously, for most of the race. But at the end of the day, it wasn't any opportunity really to pass him. I was hoping for a mistake, but he didn't make one. So yeah.
So you'll be chasing him and Hyde down for the lead today?
Oh, we hope so. I'm still second in the next start, but I've just got to make sure he doesn't get the drop on me during the start again, and so that I can end up behind Chris.
So the field lined up for the first race on Saturday, sadly without Kenny Smith, who broke a gearbox housing on Saturday and had to return home to Auckland for the weekend. Chris Hyde starting off the pole in the Stuart Lush-owned McRae GM1. Former series champion for the MSC Tasman Revival Series. On board with Russell Greer. (1973) Lola T332. Wonderful sounds, the best sounding race cars in New Zealand, if not the world. New paint scheme for the former Lush yellow machine. Bright red with Chris Hyde at the wheel. Won the first race here on Saturday. Kerry Anderson goes through the Lola T142. Sefton Gibb up there in that bright yellow 332. Brett Willis going through there in a Lola T330. Brett making his return to New Zealand motor racing in the MSC Tasman Revival Series. It's a big year for the Formula 5000s, highlighted by the Bruce McLaren Festival in January at the New Hampton Downs motor racing circuit. As Hyde blasts down into turn number 1 Toyota. Chased here by Ian Clements. Another Lola T332. So we go on board now with Steve Ross, another McRae GM1, and this is the car that Chris Hyde won the championship in 2 seasons ago. So there's another 2 GM1s out there, Peter Burson and Aaron Burson. Burson in the ex-J Estra car. So we stay on board with Ross, bottom right-hand side of your screen. You're looking at Ian Clements, chased by Sefton Gibb. So many new cars have been brought into the country this year with the expectation of the Bruce McLaren Festival. Still a few cars to come out of the shed. Kenny Smith recently imported a Lola T332, the car that he's always wanted, that's been sitting in a museum in the US for the last 30 years. So we're all waiting in anticipation for the arrival of that car on the New Zealand motor racing circuits. Unfortunately for the weekend, had no luck as the reigning MSC Tasman Revival Series champion, the Lola T430, owned by David Abbott. So sadly, not out here on Sunday for the racing. Back on board with Steve Ross. Ross running up inside the top 5. Just in behind Sefton Gibb. Whoa, looked like Gibb maybe missed a gear shift. Ross is going to pick up Gibb and Clements. So Steve Ross, another one of the many McRae GM1s in New Zealand. When this car was last raced, it was in the silver and blue, raced by Chris Hyde. Graham McRae very successful New Zealand race car builder and a course racer in his own right. So Steve Ross on a charge here at Manfeild. Race 2 of the weekend for the MSC Tasman Revival Series. Chris Hyde looking for 2 out of 2. Fastest lap in race 1 on Saturday was a 65.04 for Chris Hyde. And he's down in those lap times again here for the second race. Race 1 on Sunday at Manfeild. Part of the big MG Classic weekend, the 24th annual MG Classic meeting. Car 14, Russell Greer. This was a new chassis obtained by Lola. Arrived in New Zealand New Year's Eve 1973. First raced at Levin in the 1974 Tasman Series by Graham Lawrence. Over the next 3 seasons, the car was raced extensively and resulted in a Tasman Championship runner-up position in 75. So lots of history, this race car, with one of New Zealand's best, Graham Lawrence. And we're on board with Russell Greer off the back straight down towards Dunlop. So this is the race leader. Slightly back through the field, this is Brett Willis. Another stunning Lola T330. So this is the first sight of this car for the Tasman Revival Series. Willis with a 6th place finish for the first race of the weekend. He had a pretty good battle going with Peter Burson in the McRae GM1. 1973 Lola T330. Crackling through the exhaust pipes onto the back straight at Manfeild. So he's chasing down Russell Greer. We go back to the 35 of John McKinley. March 73A/2. Quite a different looking race car to the Lolas and the McRaes. John's had a pretty solid weekend so far, and at the moment running in the 6th position. This car was purchased from Kenny Smith in 1999, restored from a basic tub over 4 years. History of the car reveals little success other than a 3rd place at Silverstone. So a very cool car anyway. As we go back on board, bottom right-hand side of your screen with Russell Greer. We continue to follow John McKinley. Back on board with Greer. Listen to this thing. Awesome sounds from the stock block 5-litre Formula 5000s. Chris Hyde is your race leader. Steve Ross 2nd. Ian Clements in 3rd. Here's Peter Burson in the number 51 McRae GM1. The Burson family have some just amazing race cars in their collection. Genuine BRM Formula 1 car, a pair of McRae GM1s, of course the Talon. But Aaron Burson finished 3rd in the championship last year for the MSC Tasman Revival Series. So it's good to see Peter back behind the wheel. Finished 8th in the first race on Saturday. Another beautiful example of a New Zealand-built race car. There's the leading Class 2 car. That's the 18 of Tim Rush, the big FM4. Won the Class 2 championship last year. As we go back to the race leader, Chris Hyde out of Christchurch. Just continuing with some lap traffic. Maybe the 12 of Frank Carl, the RFX 5000. And if you've listened to Kenny Smith talk about these McRae GM1s, They're like a dragster, unbelievably quick in a straight line. Whereas the Lolas tend to have a little bit of a handling advantage through the corners. There's definitely not a lot that can stay with the McRaes in a straight line. As Chris Hyde looking for his second win of the weekend for the MSC Tasman Revival Series opener. When you see a field of these cars, everyone gets up onto the front straight and watches the race starts. But for race number 2 of the weekend, Chris Hyde takes out the win, 2 from 2. The Stuart Lush, Owen McRae GM1 second. Great result for Steve Ross after some problems in race 1 yesterday. Ian Clements crosses the line in 3rd. So for race 1 on Sunday from Manfeild, Chris Hyde 2 out of 2, Steve Ross 2nd, Ian Clements 3rd, followed by Russell Greer, Brett Willis and John McKinley. The first of the Class 2 cars is Tim Rush in 8th.
You doing all right this weekend?
Yeah, so far so good. We've got another race to go. We've got to get to the end. The first 2 races were pretty good. The car's running like a dream. Stuart Lush put a beautiful car together for me, so straight out of the box the car's quick, and we've had a couple of small problems that they've fixed, so the car's going really good. We're just pacing ourselves out there just to look after the car and look after the tyres for the Grand Prix next, so bit of luck, we'll get to the end in one piece.
What happened?
I lost second gear and it didn't help the performance in some of the corners. You just can't get out, which allowed young Steve to get the jump on me, and quite rightly so. But hopefully we'll get it all together again and for the last race. But it was going very well initially, so I was sort of tagging along quite happily behind Chris Hyde, and I was hoping I could stay there. But unfortunately the gearbox let me down a bit, as they do sometimes, and we'll get it